So per the existing contracts that the company has and the strategy reasons, company must execute at least 3 projects for customer 3, 4 projects for customer 1, and customer 2 cannot provide more than 5. I mean, it's very simple, right? Customer 2 is the one whose projects where we are getting most return. So it's obviously makes sense that we put all our money in these projects. But there is a limitation. Customer 2 cannot provide more than 5 projects in a year. So you have money left over. So where would you go and invest that money? And sustenance projects cannot be ignored. Since there are no returns on these projects, you cannot just ignore them, right? There must be at least 4 sustenance projects in a year. So how would you solve this problem? I want some feedback, comments. Somebody can unmute and speak. Again, this has nothing to do with Excel, right? So this is a problem that we encounter many times. You have to prioritize, you have to optimize the resources. How can you do it? Yeah, take a minute and read it. We are in no rush. Again, today it's going to be more of quality rather than quantity. So we don't want to bombard you with a lot of information and which will not be useful. Rather, we'll go through 5, 6 topics which are going to make an impact in your day-to-day work. Anybody? You can type in chat as well. Okay, so we got one response from Kishore, C1 plus C3. Okay, 18 cents per, okay, 18 cents return if you combine those two. Okay, but you have a clause here, right? For customer 1, you must execute at least 3 projects for customer 3 and 4 projects for customer 1. How many of you remember the optimization techniques that you learned during engineering? In engineering, we just obviously did that as a math problem. Yeah, we do have the ROI, right? ROI percentage is already available. So customer 1, for projects from customer 1, it's 10% ROI, 12% ROI, 8% ROI. So what you need to do is you need to maximize the return. Okay. Let's try to solve this. Yeah, customer 2 has the max ROI, but customer 2 cannot provide more than 5 projects. So what are you going to do with the remaining budget? Okay, so let's do this here, right? So let's put C1, C2, C3, and sustenance, right? Return. So for customer 1, what is the return? 10 cents. For customer 2, it's 0.12 or 12 cents. Customer 3, 0.08. And sustenance, no return, right? And what is the cost per project for customer 1? For customer 1, it's 50K. For customer 2, it's 60K. And customer 3, it's 45K. Sustenance is 25K, right? So how do you calculate the total return here? Without putting any constraints, how do you calculate the total return? It's basically how many number of projects we execute, right?
Right. I think we have to put 1 million by 50K. That's how we maximize, correct?
Okay, let's do this. 1 million is the budget. So
1 million is a budget. Okay. Okay.
you have to spend within the budget, and these are
Okay.
the project that you have.
Right. Sir, can we put number of projects first? Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
We're calculating returns. I'm sorry.
yeah, you were right.
Yeah.
This
Let's
is
put
the
number of
thing.
projects. Yes. So I think in N3 we can put 5. That's the max, right?
Yeah, those are the constraints. You are right.
Constraints. Okay. So let's maximize C2 because that has the highest return. So I think we have to put maximum projects there. 5.
Okay, C2, yeah, okay, we'll put
5.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
And
okay,
the
let
other
me
one
put
for
this.
sustenance. So we'll go with least. We'll go with 4,
Mhm.
right? I hope I'm doing right.
No, no, there's nothing wrong here.
Yes. So, and then we'll maximize C1 out of the remaining budget, I guess. And then the last allocation will be C3 within 1 million.
Okay, so C1 is a 10, so you want to put, so since you are saying we need to put at least how many projects we need?
Uh, oh yeah, I think we have to calculate C2 first and
C2
sustenance
we already
and
put it. C2 we already put it.
okay.
Okay. So let's say you are saying C2, C1 is 4, right?
Not really, sir. What I'm thinking is
Mm-hmm.
let's okay. I think we have to allocate budgets now and then probably cut. I'm sorry. Probably calculate returns later.
Okay, so let me show you something.
Sorry. Yeah, sure.
Let me, no, good try, good try. So let's document the constraints we have first. So what are the
Right.
constraints we have?
Right.
So C1, customer one, right? We have customer one. What is the constraint we have? For existing contract and strategy reasons, company must execute at least 3 projects for customer 3,
3.
4 projects for customer 1. At least 4 projects for customer 1.
Oh, right. Right.
So C1 must be greater than or equal to 4. Right?
Right.
C2 is customer 2 cannot provide more than 5. So it has to be less than or equal to 5.
To 5. Correct.
C3, 3, right? You have to at least
Right.
execute
3.
3.
3.
Sustenance, again, greater than or equal to
4.
4, right?
Right.
And your budget overall is less than
Less than 1 million.
1,000 or
Correct.
because of doing
Yeah.
$8,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Now, okay, so let's say you put some random number, some 2 here.
Okay.
So now what is the total budget that we are consuming here? I mean, we can just do this, right? Some product, array 1, and then array 2. Oops, what happened? Oops. Right? So you need to put some random numbers.
C3 has to be at least 3, right? The number of projects has to be at least 3. Though you're putting random number, but
Yeah,
considering the
okay.
constraint,
C3
C3
has
is
at least 3. Okay, let's put 3.
yeah.
Right?
Right.
And S is minimum 4. C2 is maximum we
That's the
can put
max out.
5.
Max we have
Even we
reached.
can increase by 1.
Yes.
Okay, so what next? Tell me what next.
We can increase C1 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably
As
we
it
can
is
go even
finished,
higher.
we can, kind of push more things into C3 as, sustenance is met.
Okay, so you want to put more here? Okay. You still have budget here. You are not still consume your budget.
So whatever the rest of the budget, we can give it to C3.
Okay, you want to put in C3?
as minimum limit is 3, but there is no ceiling limit.
Okay. So no.
Yep.
So you are getting a return of 86.2 and you are consuming budget $965K. So
Right.
so this is a fairly simple. You are able to do some hit and trial, right?
True. True.
True.
But think of a little complex scenario. And even this is not the real optimal scenario. So there is an option called in data in Excel, right? There is a data called solver. Okay. So for now, let me just delete all these things. I'll just do it for you guys from scratch. Okay. So what this solver does is it's going to do all that permutations, combinations by the tool. Now, what is our objective? Our objective is to maximize the return. So which is this cell, right? And I want to maximize this. And my variables are the number of projects, right? And what are the constraints? The constraint is for C1, for this cell, it must be greater than or equal to 4. And what is the next constraint? C2 is less than or equal to 5. So this must be less than or equal to 5.
Right.
So what is the next constraint? C3. It must be greater than or equal to 3. Now, sustenance. This one must be greater than or equal to 4.
4.
And we also want these to be integers, right?
Integers, of course.
So this needs to be integer. Okay. What else? And this has to be, and these again has to be positive, non-zero. Or I mean, we can put less than, greater than or equal to 0. Just to keep it simple. So did we capture all the constraints?
Budget.
Yeah, budget. Good point. Right. So this cell has to be less than or equal to
1. Yep. Set.
right.
Right.
So now let's see if it solves. Solver found an integer solution within tolerance, all constraints are satisfied. So you see now the solution says, given the constraints that we have given, you have to execute 9 C1 projects, 5 C2 projects, 3 C3 projects, 4 sustenance. And for that, you will consume $985K and your return is $91.8K.
Right.
Any questions on this one?
C1, is there a ceiling limit to do 5?
No, C1 the type, no, C1 the ceiling is great. It must be at least 4. Company must execute at least 3 projects for customer 3, 4 projects for customer 1, and
Okay.
customer 2 cannot provide more than 5.
Got it. I missed it.
Any questions? Is this something that will be useful for you guys?
Right.
Right, definitely.
And this is a very simple scenario, right? And if you have a lot more constraints, and as the number of customers grow or the number of projects grow, right, it's going to get very complex. But this will help you solve all these permutations, combinations pretty fairly easily.
True.
I have one question.
Mhm.
I understand the scenarios and the explanation. It it looks simple solving it, but in real time scenario, will we be getting or taking decisions based something like this?
Oh yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, especially if you are doing working something at a portfolio program level, right? You will run into these kind of scenarios multiple times, and especially companies that run multitude of small projects, right? So you will have to you get into some these sort of scenarios. And again, don't limit yourself to a budget and project, right? Even when you're executing the project as a part of the project optimization, right? You have to probably do some design of experiments. These things can help. Any optimization that you have to do, right? So this could help. This technique could help.
Okay, thank you, Suresh.
True. I think I can apply this to resources also. How many projects I can allocate to an
Exactly.
individual. Perfect.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Okay. Now let's take the next one. Okay. So it's a simple one. You have your project financials for the last 3 years, right? So there is a plan, there is an actuals, right? So you would like to understand your project performance from a financial standpoint. What would you do? So what would you apply to better understand this data? You have a 3-year financials for your project. So what would you do to better understand this data?
Probably a
We
pictorial
c-
representation or a graph could help us out to see how we perform.
Okay, let's try that.
we can show some bar chart so that we can understand the pattern.
I would start off with the delta. I would first calculate delta between actuals and plan. That's an important number for me.
Okay, so delta what? So how do you calculate the delta?
Of course, I mean like month on month, month on month,
Okay, you
month
want
on
to
month.
calculate month. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
month on month delta
Mhm.
against planned and actual. Yeah,
Okay.
planned and actual. So yeah.
But it's not really telling you anything, right?
Okay.
Probably line charts comparing all the 3 years
About
performance
that. Okay.
monthly.
So you
I, d-
need to be
I-
clear.
This is only okay. This is for
what are
two.
we trying to? What is the objective, sir? I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
catch that. Up to
Now you'd like to
Standard
understand
deviation.
insights from this data.
Do identify the standard deviation and seasonality.
Good, good. That's one of the things you could do, right? I mean, our general tendency is to we'll start with average, right?
Yes.
We'll start with the average, our general tendency, right? We'll start with that. But is this enough? Because based on the average, it doesn't seem to be so bad. You're supposed to spend 58K per month roughly. You spend 62K per month. It doesn't seem to be so bad.
We need to double tap
Go
on
on
the
a cumulative figures, month on month cumulative figures.
Okay, so let's do that as well, right? We'll just do the sum. So even here, right? It doesn't seem to be so bad,
Yes.
right?
We may go with the standard deviation, sir.
Yeah, let's do that. That's one other thing you could do.
Yeah.
Standard deviation, right? So now look at the standard deviation.
Yes.
Your plan is pretty close or very narrow, whereas your performance actuals is very wide.
Yes.
Now you're getting some insights from your standard deviation. And if you also want to do right, you can do a median. What is median?
Weighted average.
No. returns the median or a number in the middle of the set of given numbers,
Yeah.
right? So your
Yes.
plan, you are actually planning around 60, whereas you are performing around 65. That's a big number. That's what it's coming to.
Yeah.
Is that enough? What else can we do? From pictorial point of view, think of something. What else can we do?
Which months what are the months when the actuals are
Seasonality, sir.
seasonality of that?
Okay,
Seasonality.
that's one thing. Did you guys try this?
Control charts.
Where is it? Where is it? No, let's go to recommended charts. It will give us all charts.
Good.
Box and whisker. So left one is your plan, right one is your actuals. So anybody used box and whisker or box plots? Anybody can explain to the rest of the team? Okay, so just in the interest of time, I'll touch upon it, but you can Google it and understand more. So with the box plot, right? So you're able to find basically the spread. So as you could see here, our plan is ranging from here to here. Your actuals, even though the range is same, but they're very widespread. The bottom one represents the 25th percentile and the top line represents the 75th percentile. And here you are seeing the average. So I'll pause here, but you can actually go in and go to Google or any other info resource to understand what is box plot. This is an important visual tool to tell you the range, how this is actually performing, what the data tells. Another option that you could do, right? Another option that you could do is if you go to data, there is a data analysis option. Simply just use the descriptive statistics, right? So labels as first rows, then you just select this data. Right? No, statistical condition. No. Summary statistics. Right? So this gives you insights into this data, a little more into the statistics way of it. So again, you can, some of the information we already solved it, right? If you go here, we already solved mean, median, standard deviation. It's the same thing that's coming here. Standard deviation, mean, median, what is the median, what is the mode, right? The variance. So these terms, again, I'll not go into this. This is out of our purview for today at least. But it gives you an insight of, okay, what are the number, count, min, max. So it gives you a lot of insight into it. Okay.
I would, sorry, a tangent. With box and whisker, what do you understand, sir? I mean, like, what is what business intelligence does this give? How will it affect the decision? Can you give me an example? It would be fantastic.
Sure.
Yes.
Now it tells you, right? So your 25th percentile, the difference between your 25th percentile and the 75th percentile.
Okay.
It's very narrow here.
Okay.
Whereas when you come to your performance, your 25th percentile and 75th percentile is very wide.
Okay.
Okay. Now, which means your standard deviation is telling you the same thing, right? Whereas
True.
It's 7, whereas 12. So which means it's already wide. And from pictorially, you're able to represent this in the same way.
Okay.
Okay. And these two top and upper represents the outliers.
Got
Okay.
it, sir.
It means the fluctuations in your performance is much more wider than your plan.
Oh, got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
So let's go to the next scenario. So you have a project, right? So the project budget is expected to be 800K. You are expecting to use about 10 resources. So each resource cost is like 11K per month. So it's like 110K per month. And the project duration is expected to be 6 months. So the total project cost is, resource cost is 660K. And the overhead cost, it's a simple 5% revenue that we are applying. So it's like 40K, right? 800 into 5%. Okay, assume this is based on the budget. Outside services, you have to apply some outside services for this project. So which is again 15%. So again 15% of 800. So 120. Now at the end of the day, what is happening is your margin is minus 20. So you are ending up losing the money. Now you are being tasked to find out what does it take to make your project margin, let's say $40K. You have to change it to $40K. Tweak some parameters. What you want to do, you have to show that you have to tell your management what are the levers that you could pull to make it 40K, from minus 20 to 40K. Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So in Excel, there is an option called goal seek. Right? So I want to set cell B11, say I want to set it to 40. Now what do I want to change? Let's say I want to change my cost per month. So let's say you cannot pay $11,000 per month. Let's say you have to lower it. So if you want to play with this one, then you can just set the target to 40 and you want to change this to 11. Okay. Now it's telling you if you keep your resource cost per month to 10K, you can achieve your project budget of, your project margin to be 40K. So this is a one-dimensional thing, right? So you are able to always change one. Like for example, now let's do it again. So let's say you want to change it to 100K. And you want to play with your resources. Now let's say. Yeah. So if you can execute this project within 5.4 FTE, you can hit your project margin of 100K. But again, it's only one dimensional, right? But what if you want to play with couple of parameters?
For the couple of parameters, we have to use the what if analysis, I think.
Okay, there's another option, right? So you could use, let's say you set this one to here. Oops, no. So now let's say again, let's play with these two now. Project. Okay, I played with the project duration. So yeah. Okay, so let's say we played with project duration, right? So let's say I roll it back to 6 and 11K. Right? Now let's say my resource cost. Let's say I want to test it out with 9, 10, 11, 12, 13K per month. Project duration. Let's say 6 is my baseline. If I can do it in 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, or if it goes beyond, let's say 8, 9. Right? So what you could do again here is, what if it's a data table? So what is your row input cell? On the rows, what are we capturing here? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What is this? Your cost per month. Column input cell. What is this? The project duration. right? Okay, I know what's happening. Just give me 1 second. I disabled my formulas. Okay, now if you see this, can anybody interpret this data? What is telling us? Can anybody interpret what is this telling us?
Like
Lesser the duration and lesser the cost gives more margin.
Right? So you can find it with different scenarios. If you can get your resource cost to be under, let's say 10K, and if you execute this in 5 months, your margin will be 140K. And if you can do this within 4 months, 10K per month, your margin could be 240K. So you should be able to perform the sensitivity analysis with couple of parameters, with your objective. So for us in this scenario, our objective is project margin. Our margin should be to some number, and you can choose, hey, if I want to be within 100K or 140K, so this seems to be a scenario wherein I have to be within 10K per month and I have to do within this 5 months. So then I will be around my target. So this gives you a whole picture. So even when you are presenting a scenario, right? Anything that's uncertain, you can never really present an absolute number. You have to really present a sensitivity study with a range. So which is what you are saying. If my couple of parameters, major parameters are varying in this manner, so this is what would happen, is what we should project to our leadership team. And as in the chat, right? What if analysis is also another option. Like if you see here in the what if analysis, there's something called a scenario analysis. Scenario manager. You could also build this. Of course, I built this for some other thing, but you could also build this that would give you with different scenarios. Once you run the scenario, it will give you different options, like the same results, but in different scenarios.
So this kind of analysis, what we call this kind of analysis?
Sensitivity analysis. Oops. Right. This is called sensitivity analysis. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm jumping to the next one. Okay. Next scenario. Your monthly budgets have not been very predictable during the recent periods. You suspect that the number of bugs being found is causing the budget to fluctuate. You have the data for the last 2 years. What are your next steps? What can you do? You are trying to find if there is a relationship between the cost incurred versus the number of bugs reported.
Can we go with the scattered plots with the number of bugs on x-axis and cost with the y-axis, and find out the center line, this one, the equation or the correlation between them with a trend line.
Yep, you are almost there. Just a couple of small caveats. I'll just share those. So in Excel, there is a simple formula called correlation.
Okay.
You can find the correlation between both these data sets. Now it is telling you that the correlation is 0.69. But what does it mean? Is it good? Is it bad?
Weakly correlated.
Why is it weakly
What?
correlated?
You said more than 0.8 is strongly correlated. That's what I remember.
So let's take this
Not very
scenario.
linear.
So it is the number of bugs are directly proportional. The cost is directly proportional to number of bugs if the correlation is 1. Means as and when the number of bugs increases, the cost increases proportionately. If the
Right.
correlation is 1. If it is 0.69 means number of bugs increases also, only there is a 70% chance the corresponding cost will be increasing.
I won't put the word 70%.
Okay.
Okay. But we'll find this out. I think, I think most of you got the concept right. So I just created the other scenario, right? Let's say instead of this, created another scenario, which is where the correlation is actually 1. And if I plot this right, you will see a straightforward correlation.
It is almost like a multiplication factor of 20. The constant is something like that.
Exactly, right? So you see a very straightforward correlation.
Yes.
And as you said, right, if you want to add an element, trend line, let's say you just add this linear trend line. So now you could see it's a very linear trend line, which is the reason why the correlation is 1. So which tells us that the higher the number, this correlation coefficient will range between -1 to +1. The higher the number or the closer to the 1, there's a strong correlation. The closer to 0, it's a weak correlation. Now I create another scenario wherein the correlation coefficient is 0. So which means there is almost 0 relationship between the number of bugs reported versus the scenario 3, which is why the correlation coefficient is 0.
Let's run.
Right? You can see all the 3 graphs here that we created. This is for scenario 3, this is for scenario 2, and this is for scenario 1. For scenario 1, there is some correlation, but not a strong correlation, which is here. Scenario 2 is a perfect correlation, which is why it's 1. Scenario 3, there is no correlation at all. And if you want to go a little more statistical way, right, you could also do data analysis. You could do regression, right? So you could just put y-axis as this and x-axis as this, right? Okay, there are no labels. Okay, I'll create a new worksheet. Okay, that's fine. I think we'll just run with this. So again, I will not go into the details of each of this term, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of important things here, right? So if you see here, your equation y is equal to mx plus c. Your slope is 4.37 and your c is 96. So which tells me that we have created this plot for scenario 1, which tells me that the budget fluctuation is only partially represented by the variable. That means the number of bugs. Whereas there is a very strong independent variable, 96, which is not fluctuating.
Correct.
The ideal scenario would be this is to be as small as possible, this is to be as big as possible. So that it tell us that there's a good correlation. So I'll leave it up to here. You could actually do a little bit of Googling or open any statistics book. You should be able to understand these terms. But for us, the important factors that we at least should look at is, okay, what are the coefficients? What is my intercept and what is my x variable? So this tells us how strong is the correlation. If the intercept is so big, then it means it's not so it's not explaining you so much. And also the standard error is another variable that we should look at. But for now, I think we'll pause here. The important part that we should look at is use the term correlation whenever you have some data. The closer to the 1, either +1 or -1, the stronger the correlation. Okay, so we'll jump to the next one. And I believe this is something that you would encounter on a daily basis. If not daily basis, very frequently. For simplification, I just created here different software modules that we are creating. Each one has a different duration. And this is the critical part. You can only execute module 2 after module 1 and module 3 after module 2. So this is the critical part. So which means you have to do all these things, and the total project duration is 195 days. Right? This is the start date. So which means it comes down to July 25th. So you have presented this schedule to your leadership team for completion of a project. Your organization knows that there is variability in each of the module execution based on the past experience with similar modules. What is the confidence level in completing this project as per the proposed schedule? How would you solve this? How would you solve this?
Do we need any other data for this?
Monte Carlo analysis is that term comes to my mind.
You're right. You're right. Who's that?
I'm Karthik.
Hey, Karthik, you're right. But
Yeah.
how do you do Monte Carlo
So
simulation?
that's what, sir. I have never done it in the past. I'm sorry. I think from what I've learned, we have to run multiple simulations. Out of that, probably we will. So okay, I have 90% confidence that I'll finish in 195 days. I have 95% confident that I'll finish it in probably 190 days. So probably that I don't know how to perform it at a math level, but I think that's the concept. I mean, revolves around.
You're absolutely right. What you said is absolutely right. Now, how would we do this in Excel? There are actually
Oh yes, sir.
very sophisticated tools available like Crystal Ball, Risk, Saffron Risk. There are many tools available
Okay.
in the market which you could use to run your Monte Carlo simulation.
True.
But not everybody is blessed to have those kind of tools, right? So now, how do we solve this with Excel?
Okay.
So let me help you with some additional data. So again, this is my way of doing it. It doesn't mean everybody has to do this way.
Okay.
So what we have done is we have created different variation profiles, right? Profile 1, profile 2, profile 3, profile 4, and each one has some range.
Okay.
So I'm going to define, I mean, each one has a different range. And if you want to modify this for your term, let's say you want this to be 30 to minus 30. Fine, that's fine, absolutely fine. So as per your needs, as per your tightness that you want, you could define some ranges as you like. Okay, has to be within plus or minus 100%. Okay. So then what I did is we have defined a variability profile. So basically item number 10. Let me just hide this for now. Oops. So what it is, software module 1, we are expecting the variability to be 10, which means it could fluctuate between plus 100 to minus 100. Module number 2, we are expecting the variability profile to be 5. So what is variability profile 5? You have a very good confidence.
High confidence.
So it's a plus or minus 5%. Right? And where would you get these numbers, by the way, right? Your organizational assets, right? If you run your If you run your past history, you should be able to find that variability. What is the variability in general you have observed for different types of projects?
Lessons learned. True.
Yeah. So once you apply this variability, right? So now what we have done is we calculate something called a pessimistic value and the optimistic value. So which is simply nothing but based on. So I'm doing a VLOOKUP, right? Profile number 10. Profile number 10 is very high confidence, which is 10% minus 5%. So it pulls up the value and it gives me a range. Okay, your pessimistic estimate for this number or for this module is 16.5 and your optimistic is 14.25.
True.
Now, based on this, most likely, now what is that most likely scenario that you want to do, right? So what you do is you apply a function called random number. So you know that you are going to be falling somewhere between these two, right? In each scenario. Now you apply scenario of S2 plus random number between random number into R2 minus S2. So anytime you will be somewhere between this number because you are this plus this difference you are adding. Right. Any questions? If you are confused, let me know. Now similarly, it's the same formula that you apply. Right? So some random number, you apply the random number will pick between some random number and it will apply that percentage here. So which is pretty straightforward and you'll get some number here. Now if you sum up all these things, it translates to some date. Right? So your baseline plan was 725. Your first simulation tells you that it could be 727 or July 27.
Sure.
However, this is only one scenario.
Exactly.
Right? Now again, what you do is, let's say you want to run this for 1,000 scenarios. Right? Let's just number this 1, 2, 3. So notice whenever there is an entry happening, the simulation keeps running, but it's only one data point.
Right.
Right? So now what I'm doing is I'm just simply, for simplification, I'll just put like some 200 or 500. Okay, let's stop it at 200. Right? So what we are going to do is, so we want to just say this is equal to this. Right? Now you just select this 200 data sets. Okay. Data table, right? All you have to do is in the column input cell, you just select this random number. That's it. So what it is doing now is it's capturing each simulation that is running, it is capturing this 200 simulations data into one go. Just the format needs to be fixed, which you can fix it. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
Please feel free to ask questions. Either what I'm explaining is understood or nothing is getting to your mind. Right? See, everything has a format problem, which will fix it, not a problem. But questions. So we have run 200 simulations. We have captured the data and all the results from the 200 simulations are captured here. Now what we do is right, I'll just do insert pivot table. Right? So insert pivot table. Now you do this, then you do this. Oops, okay, we have to swap this, right? Then I should do the other way. Don't do this, don't do this. What I want to do now is, yes. So this is what we wanted to do. And here, this one, I want to do value field settings, count. So what I'm trying to figure out now. And I want to add another one, value field settings, count, show as percent running total.
Finding out highest probable date, highest probability date.
Exactly. Now, if you just plot this graph, right? So it will tell you insert recommended graph. Okay, so let's just do this. No, I think we'll use a combo chart. I'll put this in a secondary axis. Now, tell me, what is this telling us?
Yeah. Yeah, we can assure 100% that we'll finish by 8:29.
Yeah, and if you're on standard, let's say you can do 80% confidence level is acceptable.
Yeah.
Then you can pick up this number roughly, right?
Roughly.
So 80% confidence is like 88. Our state is your 80% confidence.
True.
So you can quantify the amount of risk that you are taking. Now, if organization says, hey, I'm going to go in and put to the customer that I'll do by June 1st,
no,
very more probability that's going to happen unless you do something magic. So you can go to your management with data rather than saying that, hey, it's not possible. Right now, if you go with this data, there's going to be a lot of buy-in and there's going to be a lot of trust with the statement that we as a project manager are making. Are you with me? Any questions? So this is nothing but Monte Carlo simulation. But Monte Carlo simulation, we are doing it in Excel. And this button that I created is not doing anything. Okay. This is just for me to refresh the pivot table whenever I want. So it's not doing anything else. Yeah, go ahead, Kitty.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for the session. I'm a science student and I'm really struggling to get through the density in my mind and across all this information. Is this data and recording available for us for practice?
Of course. Yep.
Thank you.
I'll share this Excel sheet at the end of the session. You can use it. And you have the video posted. Our events team will post it in, I think, YouTube. It will be available in YouTube. And you can reach out to me anytime as well, in case if you need any help at any point of time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so let's take up some simple concepts now. So how do you value projects? Right? How do you value projects? So let's take this project. You are given this project, which has this profile, right? So for the next 10 years, you are going to get, first 3 years is only investment. Next 7 years, you'll get $10,000 per month. But you have to invest 20K per year for the next first 3 years. Right? So which means first year you are going to lose 20K, second year you are going to lose 20K, third year you have to again spend 20K. And from then onwards, you're going to be getting 10K per year. I mean, I think everybody must have experienced, right? Some of the other insurance seller will reach out to you, sir, you spend 1 lakh per year for the next 3 years. After that, you will get 50,000 for the next 20 years, sir, 50 years, sir. So they're going to give you a lot of these options. So forget about your project valuation, just think about your personal finance.
We do, if I'm not wrong,
XIR, sir.
NPV.
XIR.
Yeah, XIRR is another option, but
Yes, sir.
we'll not go there because not
Internet.
able to understand XIR.
ROI.
Okay.
So we'll start with IRR, right? So you just apply this IRR,
Yes.
right? It's 3% return is what you are getting for this scenario. Now let's calculate the NPV. So again, NPV. So what is this rate? Anybody can guess what is the rate? So you have to provide a rate.
This is the expected figure or
expected return. You
guess
can just
expected return. Yes.
Or in finance terms, it's called cost of weighted average of cost of capital, discount rate.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say you are borrowing this money, right? So which means your borrowing cost is, let's say, 10%. Okay.
Yeah.
So look at this. For this project, if your cost of capital is 10%, that means you're borrowing this money at 10%. The net present value, that means you are basically losing money from this project with this cash flow profile. Let's do some numbers here just for you to understand the importance of an NPV. Now, let's say, let me modify this NPV. Okay, I'll just increase this decimals so that we exactly know what it is. Right, it says 3.164. Let's say I change this NPV to 0.3164. Right, I will remove the percentage because I'm putting already 0.03164, right? You see the NPV? It's 0. Are you able to follow? Are you able to correlate what's happening here?
As an overall project, we are not earning anything. Whatever interest we are paying to the our lender.
Cost of capital, yes, you are right. If your cost of capital is equal to your IRR, then the project has no value. So there's no point in executing this project because it's costing you 3.164% to get that money, and the returns are also 3.164. So there is no value in this project. Now let's just for the sake of discussion, let's say we bump this to 100K. Let's say we bump this to 100K. Now you look at this here, right? And I change this back to, let's say, 10%. Right? So this is telling you that for this cash flow profile, your returns is 62%. And at a 10% cost of capital, the project is valued at 104K. So again, don't worry so much about these terms in case if you're not following it. So make a note of these terms. Do a Google search or use your ChatGPT to understand more about these terms. But these are a couple of terms, in fact, including the simple payback, right? Simple payback period. So these are the typical 3 terms that are used in most companies to value projects. And some companies will have guidelines. Your project cannot be accepted if your IRR is less than 10%. Then they expect at least 10% IRR. Right? And payback period has to be at least 3 years. So there are some guidelines some companies are already set up by the finance teams. So depending on your organization guidelines, you can set the boundaries and then figure it out. But go back, spend some time on these 3 parameters and see how you could apply for your projects. Any questions? If not, we'll jump to the next one. Okay. How do you track your project and estimate the final spend towards your project? I think I should mention here project budget. And these are the numbers, right? So we are here. So for until January 2024, you have spent this much. And this is what you plan to estimate for the rest of the project duration. And this is what is your profile. And I'm already showing all the data. All I'm looking for is how would you represent this pictorially? So which means here your plan is 2698. You already spent so far 1528. You are expecting to spend another 1325. So if you just sum these two, what is spent so far and what is expected to be spent, it's 2853. But I would need your help to show this pictorially. How are you going to show this?
As a cumulative graph, sir. A cumulative plan will monthly cumulative plan and monthly expenses, actuals.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's do this. So plan cumulative, actuals cumulative, LE cumulative, right? So you just do this. Now, first year is going to be this, and 6 plus, right? Similarly, you can apply the same for here. Right? Now here, you don't have you can only do up to here, right? Now here again, you have to do this. Then plus, oops, something we missed it. Oh. Right? You can see the same numbers are shown here, but in a cumulative format. Now I can just create a simple chart. I will use this one. Now you could see here, right? So what is this telling us? Your plan is this curve. You already spent up to here, and you're expecting to spend this much. So which means you will be over your budget by the end of your project. And what you could do is for representation purpose, right? You can just go here, format, data series. I'll just change the line type, dash type, right? So I'll just put this in a curve. Because this is expected, right? Because we are here today. So I'm just showing this number here. So again, this is a very widely used chart for showing your project budget status to the leadership team. Simple, very effective.
The chart type name.
Yeah, what we do is basically plan versus actual.
I'm asking, what is this kind of a chart?
Oh, okay. This kind of a chart, you can just go in. I mean, I just actually clicked the. You could apply this chart, right?
Line chart.
Yeah, it's a simple line chart. That's all. See, Excel makes it easy. You don't really worry about it. You just go to recommended charts. It will throw you a lot of options. Okay. Now let's go to this one. Again, this is a visual exercise again. So this is a visual exercise. your project is over budget and there are multiple reasons for this overrun. How would you tell the story to your leadership? And these are the parameters. Again, it's another graph, another Excel graph. You can use this waterfall chart. You can use this waterfall chart. Oops, sorry. Yeah, you could use this waterfall chart and it will tell you, I mean, it will help you to tell a story. It will tell you story. Your baseline budget. Okay, I think I should not use the baseline budget because.
Sir, baseline budget, you can convert into secondary access and as a line.
Yeah, we could do that as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But primarily, this is going to be this will help you tell a story. Hey, I have spent so far 800K as per my scope. Because of scope creep,
Yes, sir.
50K, rework 100K, inefficiency 100K, so 70K. I did some automation, so I saved some 80K. I'm estimating to spend another 1500K. And we could create a couple of lines here that tells the budget and the total LE.
Yeah.
So that tells you a story. So it's a very easy to explain to the leadership team. And you could do this for not only budget, right? You could do this for if you want for schedule. You could do for if there is any product cost, right? Let's say you are designing a product and you have to explain a product cost. So you could say, hey, because of mechanical reasons is going up, electrical reasons is going up, or some connectors is going up, whatever it is. Even the pharma, let's take a pharma example. Because of this ingredient, my pharma is going to cost go up. Because of this, my cost is growing up. Because of this operation, my cost is going up or going down. You could tell the story. Okay, so the last topic for today. You have been tasked to plan the yearly budget for your division. You have been given 5 PRDs that will be executed for this year. Everybody knows what is a PRD, right?
No, sir.
Product requirements document. That's a typical term.
Okay.
Right. And you are required to tell what is the total budget and resource demand for this year. And I'm just looking at the statement from previous one. LE stands for latest estimate. In this chart, where did it go? Okay, in this one, right? Sorry. LE stands for latest estimate here. I'm sorry, sometimes I just go the standard terms. So how do you go about this? You have 5 projects. You have to estimate your yearly budget and the resources that are required to execute these projects. Won't you get this scenario? Okay, so now let's see how we do this. Right? So what we normally do is obviously as a project managers, now we go talk to the functional managers or discipline managers, depending on the organization structure. You work with them for the each PRD. So what are the different skills that are required and what is the cost for each of the skill? Let's say it's hourly cost. And for each month, how many resources are needed? Does it make sense? It's a simple exercise, right? For each project, project 1, project 2, project 3, project 4, project 5, by resource type, what are the skills needed and how many of those resources are needed to execute that project by month. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So now all I'm going to do is right now just 2 FTEs into hourly cost is $30, right? So for simplicity, we'll just execute 160 hours per month. Right? So essentially, some of this is your overall budget, but you will not be able to show this way to your management, right? So you need to do some pictorial creations, some pivot tables, right? So let's, okay. So let's start with one simple pivot table. Now, once you create pivot table, insert pivot table, so you get all the fields. So now we can play around in whatever form we want, right? So let's say you create project 1 and then you can just say here. Right, so it's a pretty straightforward creation and it will tell you by profile, by month. So what is the expected budget for each of the month? And if you want to do some design or here pivot table, you could use an option called pivot charts. So it gives you an option for different chart options. So it gives you different chart options. But let's do something more as well. Now you want to know see, here we are doing by project, right? But you want to know by discipline now. Okay. So you go to, sorry, you click here, pivot table design, design. Oh, what's happening? Show field list. Now you change the resource type. So by project, it will tell you what is the skills needed. Or if you want to do the other way, now just swap this. Bioelectrical engineer by project. So again, now the numbers won't change, but you are creating different views by profile, by skills, by project type. You can do a lot of things. Now, let's say you wanted to do something for actions. No. Yeah, field. You can create something called a calculated field. Right? Let's say you want to do by quarter. You can create a field name quarter 1, and the formula is nothing but Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. And then you can add it. Now, if you go here, right click, show field list. So you'll have another new term called quarter. So you can play it anywhere. So you can see the summary for quarter, and you can bring it here as you like. So sum of this month, all 3 months is shown in one number. Any questions? So we have 4 minutes. So just to reiterate, right? I'm going to share this Excel in the chat in a minute. But what we have learned here or what we have tried here has not to do with Excel, right? Excel is only a part of it. We tested several project management scenarios concepts for which we leveraged Excel to solve our problems. So that's the important caveat between, it's not just pumping pumping all of you with a lot of Excel formulas or Excel tricks. So we wanted to solve your problems that you encounter day to day. So we have 3 questions. So what is any other questions, any feedback? What is the version of the Excel? I don't even recall, to be honest. And if it tells this, I think project 29, Excel 2019, I think, if I'm right. About our account. I think it's Excel 2019, yeah. Any feedback, any questions? Let me share this with you guys. You can download this. I'm going to share this in chat. Oops, can I add it? Okay, file, yes.
So if it is possible, then I can share with everyone with an email later on.
Yeah, I was trying to add it here, but for some reason I don't see that option.
Or send it to me, Suresh.
Yeah. Yep. You can send it to all the participants.
I can share it in the chat itself. I think. Yeah, I can do that.
I have one question.
Sure.
When we are calculating data table, we are considered only 2 variable parameters. While we are doing goal scenario, analysis. Yeah. In data table, we have considered only 2 parameters.
Right.
Like one is the resource cost and one is the resource timeline.
Correct. Project timeline.
Can we have the third parameter inbuilt in that formula where we can have 3 variables?
So to solve the third problem is where you can use Monte Carlo simulation, because you will not be able to do the you cannot do a sensitivity study based on 3 parameters, right? Now you can apply Monte Carlo simulation for those 3 parameters, and you can try to understand how your project margin varies.
Okay.
Right. So
because I am basically from construction background. So we have the quantities will be varying, the timelines will be varying, and the resource will be varying.
Right.
Based on, so as a project manager, I need to take at least once in a week or once in a month for variations. So mostly 3 parameters will be there. So how to calculate?
Yeah, for that you could apply the Monte Carlo simulation. That would be easy for you.
Okay.
You can use the outcome, and then you can apply all the 3 parameters.
Okay.
You will be able to do the range different ranges.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
can reach out to me for any questions. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right, team. So yeah, if there are any questions, you can drop a note to me on LinkedIn, and then we'll be able to. Okay.
Very good session, Suresh.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
useful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So
Thank you.
thank you, Suresh. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. It's an informative and practical, very useful for our regular work. And you thoughtfully actually curated this session so that we can get information which is very required for our regular routine in our jobs. For that, I thank you very much on behalf of all the participants that we have here today. As Suresh mentioned, we will share the Excel sheet as well as the recording that we have today. We'll post it in our YouTube channel. Please check in the YouTube channel later. And any question and answers, if you have even further, you can reach out to us either to events@pmi-pcc.org or volunteer@pmi-pcc.org. Or you can even check Suresh Addepalli in LinkedIn, and hopefully you can directly contact him through LinkedIn as well. Hope it's okay, Suresh, is it?
Yeah, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
So that is also possible. And just a quick announcements here. We have an ACP workshop. If anybody are interested in getting an ACP certificate, or you might be knowing somebody who in your friends who want an ACP workshop, we are accredited partners to the PMI. So you can contact this number and or to the email ID given here, and we can get back to you and help you to get this ACP certification. And with that, I again thank you very much, Suresh, and in honor to this tools and techniques session, we are happy to tell you that we are planting 5 trees in Odisha for tigers, for the benefit of tigers. So you can check this with the certificate number, and we will share it with you later.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gopal.
Thank you. And once again, thank you all for the participants to join on Saturday evening. Appreciate your time, and we will have these kind of sessions on a monthly basis. So please keep an eye on our social media channels, especially in LinkedIn, Facebook, and all the other social media channels. And you have a great weekend ahead. Thank you very much again.
Sure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. With that, we will stop this session, and closing this session. Thank you all. Thank you for joining.
Thank you all.